MK Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence in Southwest Rochester works to realize the vision of its historic namesake. Its mission is to help people and communities develop resources and skills to achieve a nonviolent, sustainable world. Kit Miller is director of the Gandhi Institute. Malik Thompson is a youth educator, and Chanel Bryant participates in a new youth summer employment program that we'll learn about shortly. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Kit, we'll start with you. There's so many things that happen at the Gandhi Institute. Can you give us an overview of the work that's being done there?
Sure. Our headquarters is kind of a campus on 929 South Plymouth Avenue in a former abandoned house and former really vacant lot that runs from South Plymouth all the way back to Seward. It's almost an acre. It was abandoned for over 20 years, and so it's been a labor of love to bring it forth into this beautiful space that now houses many different projects and many different groups using the space, from a 4-H group from the north side of the city called Leading Ladies to Metro Justice uses it for their racial justice group work, Veterans for Peace, many groups use it. We host another youth employment project in addition to the one that Chanel's involved with, the Seed Folks program. So we kind of think of it as almost a living museum for nonviolence, because there's a small library, there's a small kind of retail area there. There's portraits of Gandhi that are beautiful throughout the house, but it's a happening place. Sometimes on busy days like today, we have to hold meetings on the staircase. Wow. It's busy.
Malik, how did you first get involved with the Gandhi Institute?
I became involved with the Gandhi Institute via what's called the New York Intensive for Nonviolent Communication. It's essentially a conference where people practice this method of communication, nonviolent communication, that was created by a man named Marshall Rosenberg, that we teach out of the Gandhi Institute. And that's where I met Kit. That was 3 years ago now, 3 or 4, a long time ago. And afterward, I interned for a month at the Gandhi Institute, and after finishing high school, I interned for an entire year and subsequently asked Kit if I could join the staff as well. So this is my going on my second year working at the Gandhi Institute. I started in September 2014.
Wonderful. And you're working with the Summer Youth Facilitation Institute, CityWise.
Yes.
What is that exactly?
So the Summer Youth Facilitation Institute is a program that we developed based on an experience I had in DC. There was an organization I was a youth within, and for their summer youth employment program, they trained young people in Washington, D.C. to work as educators for other young people in the city to teach about social justice and photography. So we adopted that model to bring in 5 youth from the Rochester City School District to meet at the Gandhi Institute 5 days a week to learn about nonviolence and social justice, and to also practice their facilitation skills to go out into the community, to the Freedom School at school number 19 predominantly, and teach the young people their communication skills and teach them about nonviolence as well.
And Chanel, how did you hear about this program, and what made you want to do this, spend your summer doing this?
I heard about the Gandhi Institute through one of my administrators at school. Actually recommended me for the program. So when I heard about it, I really didn't get what it was. I didn't really understand it at all. I was just lost. So then when I got the application and I really read over it, finally understood what it was, I just gave my all in the application. And then when I got the call back, I was excited. So when another colleague of ours, Evan, he called me and we talked for a long time about it, and he was just like, "You really sound like somebody that we would want on our staff." So I'm here.
And what do you think of the program so far? What have you learned?
I like the program a lot. It's really teaching me different ways on how to deal with different situations, and I feel like it's making me a better person, because I'm mature and I'm getting put in different situations that I've never really been in. So I'm really just out of my comfort zone, and I like it. So
when your friends ask you what you're doing this summer, how do you explain sci-fi to them?
I just explained it how they would explain it, it's a nonviolent I always explain it as like it's a nonviolence and social justice class, because that's what I do. I teach at the Freedom School, so that's what we do. We teach a social justice class, and
We have such sharp people. These guys had 2 days of training,
Wow.
and then on their third day of work with us, they started turning around and teaching younger kids. And Chanel, especially the first day, there was a screw up with the schedule. Suddenly, we had to be ready to work with a whole second group of kids with no prepping. 5 minutes you guys had, or 7 minutes? They went in and delivered something really strong. So
You've got to have the right personality for working with little kids, so that's great.
Yeah.
Why is it so important to bring these youth programs to the Institute?
Well, if you go to our website and read our mission statement, it says that our target demographic are between the ages of 12 and 24, and the reason being, and that said, we don't necessarily reject anyone who is interested in nonviolence, who's outside of that age range. However, it's easier, I find, for people to really consider this different way of thinking, because that's what it is. It's an alternative. Nonviolence is an alternative mode to thinking about solving conflicts, to approaching difficult situations, and getting that information, getting that way of approaching life to people in that age range has proven very fruitful. So these people in that age range can go, once they've reached a certain age, and carry that with them as they go into society, become leaders, become whatever it is they're going to do, whatever it is they want to do.
I love working with colleagues, Malik's age, like people in their early 20s, and Chanel as a teen, because I believe that people of all ages really actually respond really well to learning from people in this age group. So younger kids, they look up to someone like Chanel, they look up to Malik, and they feel like, wow, this is like a big brother, big sister, like a few years down the road who's really handing me some wisdom. So that feels like really important to receive. But also people like older, they can really take and learn. So for me, educators at this age have a real sweet spot in terms of the people of all ages really respond well to their learning and leadership that they offer.
You mentioned, Malik, the summer intensive. What is that about, and can anyone in the community join that?
Yeah, actually, there are some flyers I have here. Would you like to take one?
You can kind of hold it up for the camera, maybe.
So the summer intensive is a 3-day immersion workshop in applied nonviolence, and essentially you'll be receiving a smorgasbord of different ways to approach the world with a nonviolent frame of reference. And so this year, which is really great because we started the sci-fi program, the young people like Chanel and the 4 others back at the Gandhi Institute, they'll be also leading and helping to manage the intensive this year. So, and yes, everyone in the community can join. There is a requested donation of $300. However, students are always free for any of our workshops, and no one is ever turned away for lack of funds. Is there anything more you want to say about the intensive kit?
This year, I think for the 3rd or 4th year, we have some visitors from Japan who are coming to learn with us. So we'll have some folks from Japan, and also someone coming from far away as Liberia.
Wow.
We're also excited to continue to support the local schools by really reaching out and encouraging teachers, guidance counselors, administrators who often participate in our work to go and be a part of it as well. So, but we love people of all ages being there, and it would be a great problem to have it sold out. And I can guarantee that anybody that comes will be, it'll feel like good medicine, both what's being taught and who's teaching it.
Sure. Why is this work so important in Rochester?
I think I'd love to hear from you guys, because let me say a sentence and then bounce the ball over to you if you're willing. But I think it's important everywhere. I think it's especially useful in Rochester for a couple of reasons. One is that, you know, we're a hyper-segregated community according to our housing and education patterns. So we are really, you know, a major part of the problem that Dr. King described years ago, you know, in terms of the issue of racism in this community or in the world, in this country, which is, you know, so painful right now, but has been painful for decades. It's just in the news right now more than ever. So we've got important work to do here in Rochester. That's one reason, and I think another is just with the issues that we have of climate change that we've got coming towards us. I think with its fresh water supply from this part of the world, and frankly our infrastructure that can handle. You know, people can go to work when it's 5 degrees out. We also all went to work yesterday when it was 95 degrees out. Like a lot of parts of the country, from my experience, especially living in California, stuff shuts down. So I actually think that this could be a really important part of the world in the coming decades.
Wonderful. We're out of time, but if you'd like to learn more about the Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence, again located at 929 South Plymouth Avenue, you can visit gandhiinstitute.org or call 585-463-3266. Thank you for joining us on this edition of CityWise. I'm Tiana Stevens, and we'll see you next week.